Welcome to Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times, presented by Worth Wealth Management, a weekly conversation with area leaders about how to persevere during uncertain times. Now here's your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times. And it's good to have you listening along. Our program is brought to you by Worth Wealth Management. You know, we look around our state, around our country, around our community for people who are not only leaders there, but do forward ever thinking. And one of those we have on our program today, and that's Morgan Berkgren. And Morgan is with the school in Oakley, Kansas. She's a teacher out there. And she's just doing some very fun things with some of her students. And we want to talk about that just a little bit. Not only is it challenging to be a teacher, but even more so to do amazing things. Morgan, welcome to our program today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So tell me how you got into teaching. We were talking before the show about my mom being a teacher. I grew up in that environment. How did you get started teaching?
Well, it's actually kind of a funny story. So when I went to college, I did not go for teaching at all. I've always loved science. However, I was actually looking at environmental science. And everybody always asks, what do you do with that field? And I had no idea at the time. I was looking at some different job opportunities. And when I transferred to Hayes from friends, within like a couple of weeks, I just had this urging feeling that I should be teaching. And one of my favorite mentors growing up was my science teacher. I think I took like 10 science classes my high school career path. And so I was sitting there and I'm like, well, you love it so much. And at the time I didn't love kids, but when I got to college, I started to grow that aspect of loving being around kids and getting passionate with kids because I coach. And as that occurred, I just made a decision to go to my lovely advisor and said, hey, I think I want to try teaching. And within 2 minutes, I had changed my whole career path to science teaching and in the biology field. So it just kind of happened. And I was like, well, there's no turning back now. And I think it was probably one of the better decisions that I made. It just happened really fast.
Well, what I see is that you've taken some of that science and technology type of thinking and turned it into what you're doing and when you're teaching out in Oakley at the middle school and high school. And by the way, you say you love kids. I think your son is hanging around in the background, correct?
Yes, he is. I tried to give him his tablet and I don't know if it's working very well, but
Well, thanks for bringing him along on our program here today because kids are so important. But you're doing a program that not only are the kids really doing well, they're winning at on a national, almost international basis. And the program's called Kid Win, KIDWIND, like in wind. And it has to do with science, technology, and engineering and math. And it's a competition that highlights really all the wind and using that as a renewable energy. How did you get started with Kid Win?
I started at Oakley. It would have been my second year. I was teaching physics and chemistry, which I, at the time, was not looking at that path, but that was what was available in Oakley because there was already a biology teacher. And it had popped across my email one day from my superintendent at the time, Ken Bockwinkel, and he had sent like a Kid Win thing. I looked at it, I read it, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know a whole heck of a lot about physics, but I feel like this fixes my issue with teaching physics. So I was like, let's do it. And so we ended up turning it into a full-blown thing with the class. And that's kind of how it initiated. And once I started, it just kind of hit the ball rolling and the kids enjoyed it. And we grew it from where it was to a classroom thing to now a club deal.
Well, you just had some very successful teams that participated in the World Kid Win competition in Phoenix, Arizona. What is that competition like? What do you actually do in that competition? Because there were not only teams from the U.S., I think there were 131 teams from 26 states, and also teams from Taiwan and Mexico. This is a big deal. What did your
Yes.
kids do? Because they were winners there.
So when you think of Kid Wind, everybody's like, the first question that they're like, what the heck is that? And it's always a great conversation to have with people because it's not only we build a turbine, essentially the students, we build groups and they build a turbine that competes with other turbines across the globe. Now we're global. It went global last year. I believe was the first time it went global with it. And that's when we got those Taiwan teams in Mexico. We've always had Mexico coming, but it's never been like to the level of what it is right now. And so they build a turbine and they compete with it based on efficiency, performance. I mean, there's a whole category slew of things of what they have to do with the turbine. But not only do they have to have it compete, they take it to a judge's room and they have to sit there with a judge for about 10 to 15 minutes, be very, very professional talking. Like, if there's one thing I prize my kids on, it's their ability to talk about what they're doing. And it's because they're so passionate about it and it's not a slack off project. They're all engaged. So they all know what's going on. But they talk about their project, the building, the data behind it, what did and did not work. So it's basically an extended science experiment. And then they have to take a knowledge quiz. And then when we were at Worlds, they did 2 instant challenges where just they have no idea what they're doing. They go in there and they get given a challenge in 45 minutes to get it completed. Sometimes they'll build like a generator on the spot where they'll wrap coils. Train, I don't know if you know who they are. They're a data analytics company. They've been really big into it. They're in Kansas as well. But they've been running a train software where kids have to go through and look at data across, like, let's say a school district, of the energy efficiency a school district has, and they have to interpret that and go through and fill out a questionnaire on that. And one of the teams, the Mavericks, actually placed, like, they got a perfect score, and they were the only ones there that got a perfect score. And so it was really entertaining to do that, because he came up and talked to me and he goes, Morgan, these kids, like, not only are they producing something, but they're like, they understand it from all aspects. It's not just the building process or just trying to outcompete people. It's they understand what's going on and they understand it from all categories of renewable energy, which is really great to see.
Yeah, what I love about this, these are middle school kids and high school kids
Yes.
that are doing this. And, it sounds like a science project on steroids, which it is,
Yes.
but it really applies. Sometimes a science project, I was pretty good at blowing up things, but, that really doesn't transfer to real world environment kind of things.
Mhm.
This is real world type of stuff. And your middle school students were one of 6 Rookie of the Year winners. The Mavericks you just talked about, they won one of 3 innovation awards, and they were sole winner of the Data Analytics Award, which you just
Mhm.
talked about. Seabreeze was another Oakley high school team. They qualified and competed in the world competition as well. So these kids are out there doing this on a very high and a very competitive level. When you look at this, what do you see from these kids? You started this back in 2019. What do you see these kids going on to do? Because I just see this sets them in a great background, an educational background for going on and doing some really imaginative things.
Well, and I look at it when I see it, the standout job career position is obviously engineering. And I've got a couple of them who are super interested in it. But with Kid Wind, it teaches, yes, it's on the science side, but the cool thing about science is it pushes kids beyond a limit of what their expectation is. And so it kind of shows them that, hey, I've always been told I am this. And I open the door like, hey, yeah, you've always been shown this, but let's check this out. And they start seeing this and they're like, wow, we love this and this aspect. And I'm like, okay, well, you could probably do coding. Or we love this and this aspect. And I'm like, okay, well, you love talking to people. Maybe you should be in marketing. Or it opens the door to not. And yeah, the renewable energy industry is booming. Like, and that's why this program has blasted off like it has. I mean, Colby Community College has that, the renewable energy certification where they can start as sophomores in high school and they can come out and have a job as seniors once they graduate. They don't have to go the next step. They don't have to go to a tech school. They've got the degree. They can go to a job at like Inva Energy, for instance, and immediately be working as a wind tech. I mean, there's physical jobs with it. There's behind the computer desk. There's the market. I mean, there's a slew of things. And this opens that door to those kids to be like, I don't have to just be stuck in the same category that I've been told that I've been in, because renewable energy hasn't really, I mean, it's hit Western Kansas, yes, but it's not the most positive topic in Western Kansas all the time. When there are different jobs that kids can look at and see that it doesn't just have to be me climbing a turbine tower. It doesn't have to just be me working on solar panels. I could be in a suit marketing, or I could be behind a desk. I could be behind a remote control and doing a drone to analyze a roof to put a solar panel on. There's so many things with it. And I think that's what opens the door to the kids. It's not just one job option. It's a grand mass category of job options.
What do you see that sets your students apart?
It's their passion, just their passion and competitiveness in general. I think when they get into this, I always say it's like nerds on steroids, and I love them dearly, and they know it. And when we go to competitions, there's a difference between an athlete competing and kids competing in the academic side of it, because the emotions are just so much higher. Because it's all brain oriented. I mean, yeah, you're hands on, but it's being able to think on the fly. It's having the background knowledge and getting to the point we're at today where Oakley's actually looked at as one of those people. We're that school, the school that shows up with 3 teams. There's an expectation, of course, in my classroom that I'm like, we win. And we win because we're having fun. And they are having a blast with what they're doing because it has been made competitive and they enjoy that. They just love that drive and passion that comes with it.
Well, Morgan, I'm sitting here listening to you. I would, I'm a little bit past high school, but can I sign up for your class? It sounds like not only is it fun, but it's challenging.
Yes, it pushes them beyond their limits, and it's something new that they've never been pushed before. I did it with my 8th graders last year, and I had kids that are like, "We're not gonna like it." Like, one of the kids that's on Mavericks, his younger sister is actually on the middle school team that got the Rookie of the Year, and she goes, "I am not him, and I am not going to enjoy this like you think I am." And she has, like, blown up with it, and I'm like, but she's one kid. I'm like, I've got 30 kids out of that 8th grade class that are coming up like, we love Kid Win. This is awesome, because they're hands-on and they're competing and they're learning. And that's the kicker. They're actually learning what they're doing.
Well, Morgan, I love your passion. I'm going to take a break and come back and talk about what's next, because it sounds like your program may be busting at the seams, so to speak, because you have other people looking at this, how to do this, and what the opportunities are for this. I want to talk about the future and what's coming up, and maybe how people can go and find out more, see some of these projects in action. Morgan Berkgren is our guest today, and Morgan is a teacher in Oakley Middle School and high school teacher. We'll be back with more with Morgan after this.
Since 1776, the United States of America continues to stand tall. It's been tested before, many times. Through grit and the ability to move forward, we create better tomorrows. We help our clients live their best lives to and through retirement. We make it easier. Thank you, Kansas. Worth Wealth Management, enhancing lives and strengthening families.
Welcome back to Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times. What a great show. Our guest is Morgan Berkgren, who is in Oakley and teaches at middle school and in high school, excuse me. I keep saying grade school, middle school and high school in USD 270. And they had teams that competed in the World Kid Win Challenge, but have a great curriculum, I'll say it that, in the Oakley middle school and high school for kids to really go to the next level of learning about wind energy and how you can corral that. So let me ask this question, Morgan. Somebody's hearing this, and kids aren't out building great big wind generators. I know that, but what do they actually build? What does it look like? Is it a foot tall little windmill that they put together? How do they do that?
So the specifications, the competition tunnel that they compete in is 4 feet by 4 feet. So they get a square or a cube that is 4 feet by 4 feet, and they have to be able to fit their turbine in there without it touching any part of the tunnel itself. And it has to be able to hold itself. It has to be able to hold itself while it's going through all of these trials. It's always so funny because people are like, do you just build like little pencil turbines? I'm like, oh, no.
No.
They are 4 foot. They are 4 foot tall turbines that are like models of what you see or may not see that are outside in like standard like wind farms. I know there's some that go with that design where they build like, the airfoils. Mavericks are the ones that got that innovator award because they built an actual nacelle, which is like a base. They have their base, and it's like the top piece that looks almost like a rocket is what I always like to tell people. It's where the blades attach. And inside that, they have their gearbox. Every year, Kansas Energy goes a step further and allows you to do our original start was the Kid Wind generator, which isn't a very big generator. And then you can open it up to an open generator division where you buy one or you build one. And that's the home division. This year, we had teams compete in the Kid Wind and open. So I have kids that were using a generator that they bought online, and then they put a cooling system on it so that it would stay cool so it wouldn't overheat while it was generating power, and then transfers that energy onto a sensor that they can see. And then just the standard kid wind generator, which is connected to like a gear box essentially, and they change their gear ratios to produce more energy. And so it always boils down to what goes on in the gearbox. Your blades are important, don't get me wrong, but what goes on in the gearbox is what gets you the big jewels, is what I like to call.
Wow, Morgan, I love it. I see why your kids are passionate, because you're passionate about it. If somebody wants to go take a look at this and see some of these, is there a website there where they can do that?
I know Kansas Energy has a lot of our stuff posted. Our Facebook page posts a lot with USD 274. Discover Oakley posts a lot with our stuff. But most of the time, I would recommend going to Kansas Energy's website. They're a department out of K-State that works with us, and they run the Kansas portion of it, which is blown up. I mean, you want to talk about a super invested group of kids. Kansas has gotten really crazy with this. But they can see like over the years how it has progressed. So you can see turbines from 5 or 6 years ago versus what's happening now. And they have all those pictures on Kansas Energy page, as well as our Facebook page with USD 274.
Morgan, thank you. Congratulations on inspiring students. You get to see teachers that do this, and you've taken that to the next level, but you have some great kids out there. And I'm looking forward to maybe hearing what they do in the future when they graduate and they end up running a wind company, some sort of wind generating company, or develop something brand new, because you're giving them the basics to be able to do that. And on top of that, you're a great mom. And thanks for taking time today to join us, talking about some of that thing that makes, an old farm boy feel a little bit inadequate, because these kids are out there doing second and third level engineering projects that are just going to pay off for them and our state in the long run. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Our guest today is Morgan Berkgren, who is with USD 274 in Oakley. Obviously, some great success out there. Hope you look up some of the project the kids are doing, and look up Kid Wind, Kid, K-I-D, W-I-N-D, and it's a great program for space, science, engineering, and math. And so you have a lot of things you can do there. Check that out. And thanks for listening to our program, Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times. The program's brought to you by Worth Wealth Management. I'm Gary Shorman. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for joining us for Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times, presented by Worth Wealth Management. Join us right here next week for another episode with host Gary Shorman. Until then, remember to move forward ever, backward never.